Coming to you from Central Tokyo.
This is Wild Branch Radio. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Branch Radio. This is our third one.
My name is Kumi.
I'm Jeremy. We're married and we live in Central Tokyo.
Yeah. Isn't that the miracle? We're a couple and we are doing this together.
Yeah, indeed.
So what are we talking about today?
Oh, we're talking about community. One of our most favorite, probably
most discussed themes,
or just personally,
and with people as well, actually.
Right.
So I do. The reason we wanted to talk about this is we are in Tokyo, we are in Japan, and I meet a lot of people who are like really looking for real community to belong to, and
yes,
it's not very easy.
No,
and I guess it's not just Japan, is it?
No, actually, it's not, because in America, like as many Christians as there are and as many churches as there are,
there are churches everywhere.
People really struggle to find like community where they feel they belong, and they can experience that belonging. They can experience, like, I think, the freedom to and acceptance that they are looking for, and those things, like those perceived needs, those are real needs. Like that, there's a reason that we crave that we're looking for that, and community is something that God really designed and intends for us to have.
I mean, we are wired that way as people, and also that's God's design, isn't it?
Yeah.
You were quoting something from Dietrich Bonhoeffer earlier when we were preparing for this.
Oh, which one? We have several quotes. Which, mentioning Dietrich Bonhoeffer, I can't quite say it like you. I've not lived in Germany.
So we discovered that today, in 1945, on this day, he was killed. He died. So it's interesting that we're talking about this today.
About him today, because he talked about community a lot, and it made me curious, because I see, actually, like if you start, like, say you Google what is community on
Christian community.
What is Christian community, or what is Christ-like community? You'll find lots of quotes by him. A lot of people quote him, and Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German theologian, pastor, who lived in Nazi Germany. Right. And we actually just saw a movie about him not too long ago that was really good. If you have a chance to see that. I don't remember the name of the movie. Was it just Bonhoeffer or something like that?
I think so.
And he actually started talking about community. It was a focus of his before the whole situation with Nazi Germany and that
intensified
at that extreme political environment. He wrote his doctorate on community.
That's interesting.
His central claim in his doctoral thesis, it was Christ existing as community, which I thought was just amazing.
Christ existing as community.
Christ existing as community. So when you, just that thought right there, that suddenly it shifts your whole perspective in a really beautiful way, I think.
Yeah.
Because it takes the focus off yourself, and the kind of like the interesting tension, or the kind of maybe the interesting aspect of community, like, because we're looking for it and we have that need, but we actually have to kind of come off the center stage to really find it and experience it.
Yeah, so I think often we have, I don't know, we complicate things so much. And because we are so desiring to be a part of a real, community, like we think, oh, so what is community? What is supposed to be? And also, what I have come across is, and ourselves included, because we were pastoring as well.
Right.
We have this idea of what community
should be
what we think. And it needs to have this kind of feel, and we do these kind of activities, and we interact with each other this way, and we say, and we are family. It's a lot of pressure,
Right. You're talking about it like in a local church setting?
Local church setting. And so you said we need to take ourselves off center. I think it's the whole posture change maybe that often we all need, which is like until we come in and we bring our whole selves into a group or community, we don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
And we don't know what it should be. It's just something that we explore together, rather than like one or a few people saying, this is what it needs to be.
Right. Which us as leaders, as Christian leaders and as pastors, like it's so easy to get into that, kind of fall into that habit. We should be this way, and this is what it is, and we kind of define it with these ideals, right?
And Bonhoeffer actually said something, I think, that speaks to it. He said, the person who loves their dream of community will destroy community.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
true.
ouch. And I think we are looking for that belonging, and especially in Japan, it's so easy to look for somebody to tell us what we should be and how we should be. But Christian community, like a true Christian community, isn't it supposed to be something that we bring ourselves in, and then like Christ as the head, he will just work through each one of us.
Right. Yeah.
Uniquely.
So it really is like, it's one of those things that it's going to look different each time, depending on who is in it.
Right.
And it is kind of like, it's not the sum of all the parts, but it's something that is unique, and that it kind of arises.
Right.
It's more than the sum of its parts, and it kind of arises out of all of the combination of the people that are together. Yeah. I mean, you can talk about it like we see that in little examples. For example, like, we've all been to school, in each class, like you'll hear teachers talk, but we've experienced it as a student too, right? Each class has its certain kind of personality, and you can't anticipate it, like sometimes it's really counterintuitive. You have a group of potentially rowdy ones, and they're behave, like there's unity, and so
exactly
it's just the combination has interesting results. But that is like, there is definitely that aspect of community, but it's Christ at the center, it's Jesus at the center, and it's a work of the Holy Spirit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not even the pastor or the leader at the center.
No, it's not the work of the pastor.
and I'm not talking about not having any structure.
No.
In a church, local church, of course, you need that, and an authority and leadership. But I think, like you say, a class is going to be different, and I don't know, just to have this open sort of attitude of, okay, it will develop into whatever God wants it to be.
Right. So we're not we're not talking. When we say community, it's not a synonymous term for a local church.
Oh, good point.
A local church congregation.
No, not necessarily, I don't think.
And I think, it's easy to be critical. Especially, like, I hear a lot of podcasts that are kind of critiquing church structure and those things. That's a different conversation.
Yeah.
And there, there's all kinds of good and bad kind of things we could say about that. But an institution, an organization, like, it's going to require some structure, and like God does definitely work through leadership, But I think with community, we're really talking about the relational aspect. I think we ought to have, we ought to be able to find community in our local church, but then it's not necessarily confined to that either. And like we said this, I think in a different conversation, that like in America, where there's so many Christians and so many churches, like we have that and experience that very naturally. Like we may have a community that is, we interact with other Christians outside of our worship service because there's other Christians in on our kids' basketball team, or you encounter other believers, and there can actually be really beautiful relationships that are Christ forming.
Right.
And that can,
especially because of the differences.
Yeah, and that can be really enriching
right.
too, potentially. But I think I mentioned that, I just threw that out there, Christ forming, but that is something that is a really important aspect of a Christ-centered community, that's you recognize that you are being changed. God is working,
right,
forming you into the image of Christ through all of these relationships. So it's something that, like, it's really vital for our spiritual walk, isn't it?
Yeah. We really definitely are, I believe, firmly formed in community and not individually. And that's separate from like needing a deep relationship individually with the Lord. But we are formed, and Jesus said that he is the head and we are his
body.
Yeah. What do you think a community is, or is it better to ask what is it not? Because sometimes, in order to say, and also we don't want to just say, okay, this is what it needs to be. But sometimes because it's something that is being formed and developed, it's easier to say what it's not, maybe.
Oh yeah, that's true. And I hope like for our listeners that this doesn't sound too idealistic. Like I really would like to, as we're talking about these things, hopefully give people some practical thoughts to think about that would help them really find community. I think community is something we can think about, that we cultivate. It needs to be maintained. It's not something we arrive at. It's not something that we just find ready for us. It really is like,
the perfect community ready for us. That's not gonna happen.
So in a minute, let's come back to that, like, because I think you had some things to say about even like the posture we need to carry about how we find community. But a few things it's not. Yeah. These are just kind of rattle off a couple of things. So one thing is, it's not just proximity to a lot of people. Like it's you can be in a crowd of people and feel very alone, right?
Proximity as in like just being close physically, and also seeing them. Yeah,
being surrounded by people. Just because you interact with people doesn't mean you're really experiencing community.
And I think we have all experienced that, being in a crowd and feeling very lonely.
Right. Or being like thing we hear a lot, being in a church and feeling not known.
Yeah, we do hear that a lot, and that I find that is very sad. Yeah. Community also is not sameness. Is that a word? Sameness?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it communicates. So it's not all of us looking alike or doing the same thing.
And then again, that's somehow what we expect as well, that we need to be the same. We need to think and act the same. And so I would like to say it's not sameness.
Right, that's true. It's also not activity.
It's not activity, no. And it's also not it's not automatically community just because you have like a membership or something.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, those are things. So some of those can be helpful. They can be, like doing things together can facilitate community.
Oh, definitely.
But it's
doing fun things.
Yeah, doing fun things and working together and suffering together. I wouldn't make that a prerequisite of community, but just observing churches that had community, because my background, my father was a United Methodist pastor for many years, 50 years. He retired, and then he went 20 years in the mission field after that. So
50 years.
But 50 years in the United Methodist Church, and he was spirit filled. But they move you around every 3 or 4 years, and even during that period, like especially when we were in Iowa, he was in several different states, not just Iowa. But for example, like I remember Iowa quite well, and he would pastor 3 or 4 churches at a time. And the the churches that really had community, where the town had gone through hardship, and so suffering together.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of hardship?
Oh, like floods, or like things that would come, a tornado, a tragic death, fire. Yeah, I mean, you form bonds during that time. So yeah, doing things together can really certainly facilitate community. But okay, let's go back though. We could talk on and on about that. Oh, another thing I think with community where you form closeness is like how can I say it? You will have difficult relationships in community, like real community, right? It's not all happy, because there is a thing about fit and chemistry that is important. Like we naturally gravitate toward people that we like and they like us, and that should definitely be there. But then even within that group, there's hard things that we walk through as we deepen the relationship together, where we're honest and
but then the people that I sometimes hear they are looking for a community, and they're struggling to find community. It's not that they're not willing to go through hardship like that, true. And challenges, and so I just wonder why is it difficult? And I think, like, coming back to that, I think you said chemistry and fit. Those things also are important, like you said,
right?
Because I think we know when we feel safe, like our bodies physically respond before we even analyze. And so a group of people where when you come to them, come through the door into a room, for example, where there are people, do you feel tense? And then do the people receiving you, are they happy to see you? Those things that you can't manufacture, I think are often things to tell us what's going on.
Right. So maybe would you say that if that is the environment, like we're feeling a lot of pressure, that maybe that's not a good place to find community? Well,
sometimes we can feel pressure in our bodies because of what's going on, in our own individual lives too.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Not necessarily, but are you genuinely happy to see them?
Right.
I think that's important.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That is important. And yeah, if that's really not there, then that it's going to be hard to really nurture relationships and trust, isn't there? It reminds me, you remember that book, The Other Half of Church?
That was a good book. Yeah. Why don't you mention it?
There's a book called, it's a fairly recent book within the last 4 or 5 years. It's called The Other Half of Church. I have it here. Christian Community, Brain Science, and Overcoming Spiritual Stagnation. It's a long title. Wow. But the author's name is Jim Wilder and Mitchell Hendricks are the two. I hope I pronounced those names right. But yeah, it's very easy to read book. And they even talk about how the brain works and everything, kind of like how you're saying, right? And there was a interesting little, it was a very simple study, but they talked about, you know, the blessing, Aaron's blessing, the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you, right? That blessing, they talked about that, make his face shine upon you. And what that really is like, it's like God smiling on you, right? And they talked about like how you know how important it is, first of all, like to know who your people and to find your people, which is what we're talking about with community. And one of the ways you know your people is like when you walk in the room, and does their face light up when they see you? Are you happy to see them? So I mean, that's a really like so obvious kind of thing, but then somehow, like you said a few minutes ago, we complicate it, don't we?
Yeah.
And we can have, especially church environments, they can have all kinds of expectations about how you should act and how you should be.
Right.
But whatever those are, you should be happy to see people, and they should be happy to see you, right?
And when I say like happy to see them, I think coming in with like, are you curious to know more about the people that you're with? You know, do you want to hear their stories? I think it's so simple. It's so basic relationship.
Relationships 101.
Right. But again, because we complicated things and we over spiritualize, you know, it just gets difficult.
Right.
But are you happy to see them? Do you want to get to know them more? Very simple.
You know, it's a very, maybe this is too abstract and you can stop me, but somehow that reminded me of a study. It was a Harvard study about which kids in school are the most popular.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. What did they say?
I think this is not unrelated to community. They did all kinds of factors they took into account. You know, best looking, most athletic, and you know, those things didn't have any bearing. You know who the kids were that were the most popular?
Of course, the ones that ran the fastest.
No, it wasn't. No? It was. There was one thing.
That's what I was told.
Yeah, there was one thing that was common. Nothing to do with looks or athletic ability or all the things we imagine. It was the kids that liked other people, and so we naturally gravitate towards people that like us. And so the kids that liked people, they were friendly to everybody. They were interested in everybody. And so everybody considered them their friend. So it was the kid. So it ended up, it was like the kid with the most friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just simply like they liked other people. But that is like a real, and I think there's a genuine kind of, we need to find that posture genuinely, not like trying to be interested.
Not because you're told that's what you should be.
Because you feel that ulterior motive, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But if you could be genuinely interested in other people, like people will open up to you.
That really takes me back to how we started. That Christian community is Christ-centered, and Christ existing through community. Is that what you
Christ
said?
Existing as community.
Yeah. Because unless I have that deep, intimate relationship with the Lord, I'm not really so interested in other people.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, it's and this is not trying to be spiritual or anything, but when you realize that you can see Christ in these
other people,
and you want to see Him more,
right? And
then you want to hear their stories and how Jesus is in their story and in their life, and so that's, I think for me, that's definitely maybe
it is
motivation.
It is an exciting thing when you catch a glimpse when like it's like you see Jesus in other people. Like it is one of the most fun things. And like again, maybe that sounds, I don't know if for some of our listeners that sounds too abstract, but it's real, and it's like you really get to see that person when you see God in them, you see Jesus in them, and you catch a glimpse of their potential. You catch a glimpse of kind of like what's most true about them. Yeah.
You begin to see them differently. You begin to see them beyond what your physical eyes see.
Right.
And what they might be saying and doing.
What was that quote? There was an interesting quote by Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I'm really trying to get that. Dietrich.
Which one are
about you? Like what we do first? About listening?
He said the first service one owes to others is listening.
Yeah. But isn't that kind of related?
Yeah, that was in the context of a Christian community, like talking about Christian community, I think, as well. And it is listening. So it's not, us telling them what they should be, but rather listening and, coming in low. And I think it's curiosity.
Yeah.
And wanting to learn.
One other thing I thought, like you made such a great statement just a minute ago that I thought was worth stopping to notice. And you said, unless we have a deep relationship with the Lord, we're not really interested in other people. You said something
that
like
might
that.
Just be me.
Well, no, I think it's true though. Like we need to let the Lord set us free from ourselves.
Oh, that's true.
Right? And I like our needs are really, like I want people to know, because when you especially if you're pastoring in Japan, it's not just Japan, but pastoring anywhere, but you meet a lot of needy people. A lot of needy people come to you, and like the Lord wants to meet people's needs, right? And we all have that. Like we all have that dimension about us, like these deeply felt needs, and they're real. And like sometimes, like in religious environments, not just religious environments, our family might not be a place where we can open up, whatever reason, or we like, especially the society here where we are, there's so much pressure. There's so much, there's so much said about what you should or shouldn't do. Like you're not really allowed to open up and be vulnerable, but the Lord wants to meet those needs, but he is the only one that can really do that. And it's like community, there is a need for community, but actually like the one who meets our needs, those interior needs, exterior too, but it's Jesus.
That's really key. And
we need that margin to be able to enter into community where he's filling our needs. Our dependency is on him,
right?
Not on the people around us.
Yeah.
And then we can really be free to give more of ourselves. And
I would say, unless we are really looking to the Lord to meet us and to fill our need, he can't really work through other people to meet us. We are wired to need other people,
right?
But we are, to be very clear that Jesus is the one to meet our needs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's so good. I feel excited, like thinking about those things, and I hope that our listeners too, you experience some of that excitement. Just the idea of seeing Jesus in other people, and I hope you are experiencing that. But if you're not, then maybe you can begin to look for that. Just in where you are now, that could be a kind of practical thing.
We don't want to give up on having that community in our life.
Yeah, I would say that for the people listening strongly, this is something, just we didn't share much about our personal journey with this, but it's something we've really contended for in a land where that is, I mean, it's like a drought, you know, this few, you might find an oasis somewhere. But if you have not experienced healthy community, if you've not found your people or that place of belonging, I just want to really say strongly, don't give up. God has that for you, and it can be found. It can be found. Well, we will have to revisit this. I think we're come to the end of our time today. But is there any other final thoughts you have, Kumi? All right. Well, we'll come back. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions or you'd like to get in contact with us, you can reach us at wildbranch.jp. And there is a form on there. Fill it out. Send us any questions or comments you have. We'd love to hear from you, and we will respond to those. But until next time, we will talk to you again in 2 weeks. Have a great rest of your week.
You have been listening to Wild Branch Radio. Wild Branch is a new missional community based in Tokyo, making space for God's heart. You can find out more about us on our website, wildbranch.jp. If you've enjoyed listening to this episode, please follow us on here and on Instagram and subscribe to our newsletter.